Turtles.
Berries.
Gumbo. Welcome to It's Always Sunny in Hollywood, and we got a whole hunk of burning love for you today. And by burning love, I mean Elvis, because Elvis is love. My name is Patrick, and joining me are...
I'm Red.
And my name's Lugia. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, so today is going to be a bit of an Elvis-themed episode, but before we get to the goods with Elvis, let's talk about some unfortunate news first.
Yes. James Caan, a very prolific actor. He's probably best known for his role in Thief by director Michael Mann. We've talked about Michael Mann before, but James Caan unfortunately passed away recently. He died at the ripe old age of 82. So, lived a good long life. Any of you guys familiar with his work?
Yes,
Maybe.
when I think of
He
James,
was in Bottle Rocket also.
when I think of James Caan, I think of his role in Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs, as well as Elf.
Yes, he was an elf. He was also in Get Smart. He's in a lot of stuff.
He is, he is.
Yeah.
Those are the
I
two. Those are the two roles I think of first.
I always remember him in Misery because he's the main character of Misery, the Stephen King movie. We also, unfortunately, have the passing of another great actor, Tony Sirico. He is probably best known as Paulie from The Sopranos. And I'm sure you guys probably best know him as Vinny, that dog that replaced Brian for the 2 episodes Brian was dead in Family Guy.
Ah, yes.
Before they
that.
brought him back because people didn't like the fact that he died.
The plan was
it
always to
planned.
bring him back.
Oh.
Yeah,
It was planned.
he came back literally like 2 episodes later. The Griffins had an Italian dog for like 2-3 episodes, and then they just brought him back.
And that's about the most relevant Family Guy has been in about 10 years. But I find it weird, two actors both known for like gangster movies passed away in the same week.
Well, I wasn't really known for movies, but yeah.
But gangster
Related
Yeah.
media.
Yeah, related media.
But yeah, great actor. He will be missed.
And
The next two.
speaking of related, two famous people in Japanese culture also passed away. My God.
Yes. So
What are these coincidences this week?
yeah. So the first one was Kazuki Takahashi. He's best known. Well, I mean, he's only known for being the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh. He was the person that created the manga that the franchise later spawned from. His death was pretty bad because he passed away in a snorkeling accident. They found him like washed up on shore or something. So that was
He was
a real
also
horrible
only,
thing.
what, 60?
60, yes.
Yeah, he was only 60. He actually has a lot of manga. Yu-Gi-Oh's just his famous one, but he basically he was working in the manga industry for like a good long time before Yu-Gi-Oh came out. Yeah.
You guys have any experience with Yu-Gi-Oh? Because I do not.
I did briefly.
Yeah,
I have some of the cards. I've never gotten into the game, like, legitimately, but I did collect some of the cards because a couple of my other friends were playing the game. And I also saw season 1 of the anime on 4Kids.
Yeah, as a kid, I watched a bit of the original anime and GX, and I did start reading the manga, but I haven't finished it.
I was aware of Yu-Gi-Oh when I was younger. I think my brother briefly collected the cards, and I know my cousin was a fan, but I've never seen an episode of the show. I've never read anything.
Yeah.
I couldn't hold a conversation.
Yeah, I would recommend you guys check out the manga because the manga is actually quite a bit dark. It was aimed a bit older. When it came to the States, they kind of softened it up for.
Yeah, that's when
the
Yugi
American
plays more
audiences.
than just duel monsters or whatever, right?
Yeah. Like there's a horror element to Yu-Gi-Oh, which you probably wouldn't expect, but yeah. Remember, Yu-Gi-Oh aired in the same magazine as like Dragon Ball and Naruto, so it's like for that demographic.
One of the other things I also know about Yu-Gi-Oh is that the movie is like one of the most hated animated films ever by people who don't know what Yu-Gi-Oh is.
What?
Like on Rotten Tomatoes, it is the second lowest rated animated film on the website.
Huh. The Pyramid of Light?
Pyramid of Light. Like I've seen like insanely low scores for it.
Huh,
I know
odd.
fans like it, but I'm like, what is it about this movie that is so alienating?
It's a game about like it's very built around the game. So I guess it's like watching a poker movie without knowing the rules of poker. Like
I
I
don't
guess
know. I don't
you could
know, but
probably follow along, but it's probably
I don't know,
confusing.
but a part of me kind of wants to see it just because I don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh.
None
Yeah.
of this makes
But
sense.
Just to be
Monsters
like,
are coming
okay,
out of cards.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be an episode one day. But
Yeah. The series that's popular that Yu-Gi-Oh is actually probably most known for its the Duel Monster series, because technically there's actually multiple Yu-Gi-Oh series. The original Duel Monsters, the Capsule Monsters, and then there's a bunch of spin-offs and stuff. But yeah, Duel Monsters is the thing that we all know because that's the card game. Basically, in the original series, there was this card game and it got really, really popular. So he just sort of shifted the entire series to be about the card game, and then they made the game into real life. So yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, on to the next death. The former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, passed away. He was actually assassinated with the homemade shotgun, and I believe the elections just happened. So some people fear he may have been made into a martyr. There's a lot of complicated political stuff, so we're not going to get into that. He's probably just best known in the States because he oddly became a meme because he had this like initiative in Japan that was just pretty funny. So like some people joked about it, but yeah, heart goes out to the people of Japan. Again, don't really know too much about it, but it felt significant enough to bring.
how old was he?
67. Speaking of political figures, Boris Johnson recently resigned, and during the resignation speech, he said, "I don't want to leave, but them's the breaks." And I just thought that was really, really funny for someone to say that during a resignation speech. I don't know. It feels like saying "Nobody's perfect" after you like commit like a horrible crime or something.
Up
I don't know.
yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that meme became like a thing this week too. Yeah,
Yeah,
Jordan Peterson. He said I don't even know what the context of the video is. I just saw it out of context. It's just so funny.
Hey, let's be real. Out of context is way funnier.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Like why bother look up the context? Like yeah. Okay, let's talk about normal news.
So Cameron Diaz is coming out of retirement.
This does
Yeah.
bring a smile to my face.
Yes.
Has she been in anything good recently?
Last
Uh,
movie she was in was back in like 2014.
the last good movie she was in was Shrek 4.
Well, I struggle to call that one good, but sure.
Oh, it's good. That's it. That's because you said that. I'm adding it to the list. You fucking dare disrespect Shrek 4. 3 is the bad one. Shrek 4 is fucking fire.
Okay, I
you
only
bitch.
saw it once, to be fair, a long time ago.
Nah, every time I rewatch the Shrek trilogy, it's Shrek 1, 2, and 4 because 4 is a masterpiece. 4 is It's a Wonderful Life, but Shrek, which sounds stupid, but it's actually really good. Yeah, the latest movie of her that I've seen was actually Green Hornet. So, yeah, Green Hornet, Bad Teacher. I remember like those being a thing, but
I think the
yeah,
last movie she was actually in was Annie.
yeah, it was the Annie reboot.
Mm-hmm. Did she say why she was coming out of retirement?
Let's see. She initially retired just because she was she was raising her kids, but I'm guessing her kids are probably older now, and they've you know like they're probably like at least late teens. So no, maybe she just has more time now. There was a time Cameron Diaz felt she didn't have what it takes. She felt her energy was best spent in her family, but yeah. It looks like Jamie Foxx asked her to be in this movie, and she was a bit unsure, but I guess
The
Jamie
new
Foxx
movie
convinced
or
her.
Annie?
The new movie.
Huh. Because I
Yeah,
know they were
I
both
know
in
Jamie.
Annie.
I know they were both in Annie. Yeah. This movie's called Back in Action, unrelated to the Looney Tunes movie. That's interesting. Yeah, it's going to be an action comedy starring her and Jamie Foxx. I was a fan of Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, same here.
She's good comedically and also dramatically. We definitely need to talk about Being John Malkovich one of these days.
Yeah.
That's probably her best movie, I'd say. Luga, are you familiar with Panty and Stocking and Garter Belt, the anime, not the
I
articles of clothing?
I'm familiar with the property. I have never
All right.
seen any episodes of the shows, but I am aware that they are characters that people like. I know they're
Yes.
coming out with a new one, right?
Yes. So, infamously, the anime ended with a cliffhanger, and then the people who made it, they left the company Gynax, which made it, and they funded their own company Trigger. And I think last year or something, they finally got the rights back to the series, and now that they have the rights back, they are now making an official season 2. It's been like over a decade now. I remember when this show was new. It's very good, pretty funny. Most people like to describe it as like Powerpuff Girls mixed with South Park or drawn together or something. Animation stellar, very unique. I'd recommend it, yeah. But nice that's finally getting a season 2. I've not been a fan of Trigger's more recent anime, so it's nice to see them kind of go back to the roots a bit. So yeah, hopefully it'll be nice.
So we got, well, this wasn't an announcement, but this is more a reaffirmation that this movie is happening. Sony Pictures Animation reaffirmed that an upcoming Gendy Tartakovsky movie called Fixed will indeed be happening. And Fixed is about a dog. It's a funny premise. It's a dog who realizes that he is going to be neutered, and it's the last 24 hours that he has with his,
Yeah, his balls. So yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty funny. We don't get R-rated anime comedies often. Last one was what? Sausage Party, and that wasn't very good. But this one's,
I disagree, but okay.
But this one's from the legendary Gendy Tartakovsky, so should be good. Maybe it'll be like that one banned episode of Dexter's Lab, Rude Awakening.
Rude Removal.
Rude Removal, that's what it was.
Don't ask me why I remember that. This is a bit of a follow-up to a story we talked about a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, we got a teaser for the first animated film from Skydance Animation called Luck. And this week, we got the first official trailer for it. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually looking forward to this.
Doesn't look that bad.
It looks like it has like a lot of imagination to it.
Kind of wish John Lasseter wasn't attached, but whatever. Well, let's talk about a movie we actually did like, though. So we all saw together Elvis, the new Elvis biopic musical, directed by Baz Luhrmann, starring Austin Butler as Elvis, and Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker. And it basically just chronicles like Elvis's entire career from through the perspective of said Colonel Tom Parker. This is Baz's first movie since what?
Great Gatsby back in 2013.
2013. So yeah, about 9 years. So although he did produce this show on Netflix called The Get Down. But yeah. Anyway, I guess general thoughts. What y'all think about it?
I thought it was great.
Out of all the music biopics that I've seen, like Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, this was easily the best out of them all.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the best music biopics I've seen. It maybe doesn't top like Amadeus or something, but it's pretty up there. It's great. I loved it. I really like the editing in this movie. You guys notice that? Like the way
it has a very distinct style that Baz Luhrmann's often known for with his movies.
It wasn't as bombastically Baz Luhrmann as I expected it to be. It was actually pretty held back.
You could still tell from time to time with some of the editing choices.
You could definitely tell it was Baz Luhrmann, especially in the beginning. But as it went on, it did get calmer, which I thought was interesting.
It felt a bit more measured. It reminded me of the Michael Bay movie that came out earlier this year, Ambulance, where it has like the best of Michael Bay's style, but he like reeled back a little bit on more of his like worst tendencies. So I feel like if there's a Baz movie you're gonna like, it's probably gonna be this one. Like if you didn't like his movies before, this might win you over, honestly. Austin Butler, his performance was great. What did you guys think of his performance?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Like any specifics? I don't know. I thought
my favorite scene in the movie was when he's singing "That's All Right" in Vegas, and it cuts between the guy in the shack he saw singing the song, him singing it in the studio, and him singing it on the stage. I thought that was great.
Yeah. What I like is so I got home, I looked up some Elvis footage, and I liked how accurate it was, like even like details. Like I found it funny that remember that moment where Elvis he just shoves the mic in his mouth?
Mm-hmm.
While he's like having a breakdown in Vegas, like, he was like, I just thought that part just cracked me up. That was real. Elvis actually did that. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. That's kind of hilarious.
Not to mention his seductive shaking. That was also a pretty big point of contention in the real world.
Yeah, I like So musically, what they did is they remixed a lot of the songs to have like more of an electric guitar thing. So it has like a more of like a punk feel to it. So I guess like the audience could understand, just how radical it felt back then. And they also had like some rap remixes and stuff. So I thought that was like an interesting artistic choice.
Yeah, I never
I thought it was
expected
effective.
Doja Cat to cross over with Elvis at any point in my life.
Yeah, Tom Hanks's performance was interesting because he played it like he was a Batman villain. Like this whole time, I was like, man, Tom Hanks would make a really good Penguin.
He's got the nose.
Snowman strikes again.
He had this
He
like
was my
foghorn, like
destiny.
he had this like weird, like what even is that accent?
I don't know. I don't think they established exactly where Tom Parker was from because a lot of he was shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, no. A plot point in the movie is that they had no idea where he was from because they had like no legal documents or something.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, that's why like Elvis couldn't go on tour.
Yeah, that's why he never went to Europe. I don't know. I don't know what accent he's supposed to have.
It was a bit cartoonish during some of the more serious scenes. Him showing up there was like a little bit funny when it like really shouldn't have been. But like overall, I thought it worked. Oddly enough, it was so cartoonish, but like it fit the style in a weird way.
I mean, that is Baz Luhrmann.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were some aspects in this movie of his life that I'm actually surprised they didn't include, like him meeting Richard Nixon, which I know was a big thing when the president met
Yeah,
King.
I know.
And also, I know at one of his concerts he passed out from exhaustion. I was really expecting them to show that, but they didn't. But actually, going back to the Nixon thing, after I saw the movie, I went home and looked up some things. Apparently, according to Baz Luhrmann, there's a 4-hour director's cut of this movie with the scene where he meets Nixon.
Huh.
Maybe that'll come out one day. The scene I'm surprised they didn't include is when Elvis learned his moves from young Forrest Gump. That was pretty messed up that Baz cut that out. Cut out that historical importance. Especially, with Tom Hanks reprising.
I was just gonna say, Tom Hanks is here already.
Yeah, I know. Overall, great movie. I gave it like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
I would say like 9, 8.5. Yeah.
This is one of my favorites of the year so far.
Yeah, definitely. Like I put him like my top 3 of the year so far.
Oh yeah,
very
aren't we
good.
also getting that David Bowie documentary?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
From
What's it called?
I don't remember, but it's from the director of one of my favorite music documentaries, Cobain Montage of Heck. So if it's anything as good as that, I would expect this to be a pretty great film.
And we're also getting a Whitney Houston movie at the end of this year.
Yeah, okay. Looks like the David Bowie documentary. It's gonna be called Moon Age Daydream, which makes sense. That's one of his biggest songs. I did like how the movie focused a bit on Elvis's activism. I thought that element was good. A lot of the ties to black culture and stuff.
Actually, this movie kind of made me sad because a lot of the turmoil and stuff Elvis had to deal with, that's still relevant today.
Yeah.
Like the violence and the race stuff. Like it honestly made me sad. Like great movie, but it hit a bit too close.
Anyway, one thing they talked about in the movie was Elvis filming some movies, and today we are going to talk about one of those movies. Why don't you take it away?
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh yes, one more thing. He never actually said thank you very much in the movie. You guys notice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said thank you very much, thank you, but not thank you very much.
Never the two in the same sentence.
Nope. Anyway, let's talk about the real meat and potatoes. King Creole. Before I actually get into this, I just have a question. Have you guys seen an Elvis movie before prior to this one?
Yes,
Nope.
I've seen Viva Las Vegas.
This was my first one.
My first as well. I chose this because, well, this is considered to be his best movie, and also my grandma. I was talking with her about Elvis a few days ago, and she said, I mean, a few weeks ago at the time of recording this, but she said King Creole is her favorite, and I'm like, oh, I should probably give that a watch. So
Yeah, I found this movie interesting because it was from director Michael Curtis, who is best known for directing Casablanca, which is widely considered to be one of the best films of all time.
So yeah, I guess we should start there. King Creole is based on the 1952 novel A Stone for Danny Fisher by Harold Robbins. It stars Elvis Presley, and it was directed by Michael Curtiz, who, as you said, directed Casablanca, but he also directed other films such as The Adventures of Robin Hood Angels with Dirty Faces, Yankee Doodle Dandy, Mildred Pierce, and White Christmas, among many, 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 many others. This guy directed like over 100 movies.
Yeah.
So there's a
Angels with
good
Dirty
chance.
Faces was the movie that they parodied in Home Alone.
Is that the black and white movie on the TV?
Oh no, that movie's fake.
I know it's a fake movie, but is that what it was inspired by?
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. That one.
I believe ya, but my Tommy gun don't. So this was originally going to be a faithful adaptation of the book with James Dean starring as Danny Fisher. But before the film officially went into production, he would tragically die in a car accident. And as a result, the film was put on hold. But it was revived a few years later with Elvis brought on to star in it, and the script was reworked to accommodate him. Because here's the thing, A Stone for Danny Fisher is about a young boy in Brooklyn who becomes a boxer in order to support his family during the Great Depression. This movie, Danny isn't a boxer, he's a singer, and the setting isn't New York City, it's New Orleans. And I also don't think it's the Depression era. And Michael Curtiz chose to have the movie filmed in black and white to give it a film noir vibe, and this is also the last black and white movie that Elvis would appear in. In 1957, a month before production was set to begin, Elvis was drafted into the army, but he was granted a 60-day deferment because Paramount Pictures had already invested $350,000 in pre-production. So filming took place over less than 2 months, from January 20th to March 10th, 1958. And it proved to be quite a challenge. Not because of any issues with the cast or crew, but because Elvis Presley is like the person on the planet at this time, and fans would constantly disrupt production just to catch a glimpse of him on set, which constantly delayed filming. And also the hotel that the cast and crew were staying in during production would constantly garner huge crowds trying to catch a glimpse of him. Like, they had the 10th floor all to themselves, and security prevented anybody from traveling all the way up. Something I find funny is that one day after filming, Elvis returned to the hotel, and the guard wouldn't let him up to the 10th floor because Elvis was staying there. I don't know, that's just funny to me that Elvis couldn't go up because Elvis was there.
Sorry, sir, this is your room. You're not allowed.
Anyway, the film was released in July 1958, but it was actually banned from screening in Mexico, and the reason why is kind of crazy. You guys ready for this?
Fire away.
Alright, so here's something I've done research papers on Elvis in school before. This is something I did not know. Apparently, in the mid to late 50s, there was an anti-Elvis movement in Mexico. Did you know
For
this?
what reason? Was he too popular?
The reason why
It was because of his gyrating hips, wasn't it?
there's a few reasons why. One is because Mexican society in the 50s, they viewed rock and roll as rebellious, and they feared that Elvis's rebellious image would have a negative impact on youth. Another thing that happened is that an article began circulating that Elvis had called Mexico, quote, a disrespectful country, unquote, and that he, quote, would rather kiss 3 black women than 1 Mexican, unquote.
Was this real or just a rumor?
This was later revealed to be false.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
doesn't
keep
sound
this
like
in the back. I'm going to come back to this, but just keep this in the back of your head, okay?
All right.
But what happened was King Creole did premiere in Mexico City, but at the premiere, hundreds of teenagers entered the theater without paying for admission and destroyed the seats and yelled and attacked audience members. And it got to the point police arrived to try to stop the rioters. So it happened. I guess their fears were kind of justified about him having his rebellious image having an impact, but I couldn't find anything stating if that was exactly the reason. But I do know it happened, and because of that, any future Elvis movies were banned from the country until I think the early 60s.
I find it funny how like this stuff that we consider so tame inspired like all this stuff. When nowadays we have like tons of things talking about like, tons of violence, and it doesn't really spark anything.
But eventually this whole anti-Elvis thing would die down. And Elvis actually has a huge fan base in Mexico now. He even did a movie called Mexico, I think. But going back to that article that spread, that was entirely false. He never said any of those things. But you know where this all came from? it was revealed much later that these racist quotes that circulated were actually made up by a Mexican politician. And you know why he did? Okay, are you ready for this? Are you ready for why he did this?
Because he hates Elvis?
No, he did this because
Thought it was funny.
the reason he did this was to get revenge on Elvis after he declined to perform at a private concert for his teenage daughter.
Wow.
Okay.
You want to
Man.
talk about petty? There you
Man.
go.
This has nothing to do with you. This is Elvis Presley. He is the biggest guy on earth.
You destroyed
take
my
it
daughter's
personally.
dreams. I'll destroy your livelihood in Mexico.
My
Imagine him
God.
like the Godfather's like, you failed to show up to my daughter's quinceañera. I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
That is... My God. But
He
You
took
dare
that
decline my
personally.
invitation on the day of my daughter's wedding.
despite what happened in Mexico, King Creole was a critical and commercial hit, and it's often considered to be one of the better movies of Elvis's filmography. And the king himself would go on record saying that out of all the movies he ever made, this was his favorite. So, is it any good? Well, let's find out. So, brief plot synopsis. So, Elvis Presley plays Danny Fisher, a 19-year-old who gets held back from graduating high school for the second year in a row because of a school fight that he starts. And instead of going back to get his credits, he decides he's going to leave school behind, quit his job as a busboy, and focus on finding a job that will be enough to support his unemployed father and his sister. He gets offered a job as a lounge singer, and things start looking up for him, as he also forms a romance with a young five-and-dime stewardess named Nellie, and a former lounge singer named Ronnie. But things start to get messy when his former boss tries to lure him back with threats. And from there, romance, crime, backstabbing, and singing. That's King Creole.
Thought it was.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
I guess I'll start. I thought it was pretty good. Honestly, I enjoyed myself quite a bit. I was surprised.
Yeah, not bad.
I thought it was pretty enjoyable too. I think I do kind of agree with Elvis on this one. I think this is probably his best movie I've seen with him so far. I did like Viva Las Vegas, but it didn't really grab me.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was Elvis's favorite because this really like showed his strengths as an actor.
Yeah,
I thought
the
I thought
fact
he
that
did,
they
like,
also
a
had to
damn good
rework
job.
the entire script just for his singing and not boxing. I think they put Elvis as an actor and a singer to good use for this.
Yeah, and I do think this
Yeah, the
does
songs
strike
were good.
I do think this does strike a good balance of showing the Elvis everybody expects, but also a dramatic Elvis that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's
an
also nice-
interesting. That's an
It's
interesting
also
balance.
nice to know that the swag that was in the Baz movie was real because he got some moves. He's charismatic.
He's swerving those hips, shaking his legs.
Yeah, I thought supporting lady, what was her name? Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie.
Yeah, she did a good, solid enough job too. Honestly.
The relationship between her and Danny, kind of reminded me of Blue Velvet. I mean, she is a former lounge singer.
Yeah, no, I mean,
No,
Blue
minus
Velvet
the
was
awkward
inspired.
sexual tension.
Blue Velvet was inspired by a lot of '50s movies, so it's entirely possible it was an
Yeah.
influence on this.
I would not be surprised if that was the case. I was reminded of a few movies actually. Like the stuff with Danny's father at the drugstore kind of reminded me of It's a Wonderful Life, because the opening of that movie is set in a drugstore.
Yeah.
And also the ending where a shark and the other guy are looking for Danny in the alley. That reminded me of that scene in The Firm where Mitch is hiding in the ceiling while those two guys look for him. Yeah, those are the three movies that I was reminded of.
Kind of reminded me of Bye Bye Birdie. No, I'm kidding.
Gee, I wonder why.
Why does Danny look like Conrad Birdie?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have a lot to say. It was well shot, competently shot. Didn't blow me away, but there's some, impressive looking sets.
Yeah, same here. I don't have too much of a big take on this movie. I enjoyed it, but I don't know.
It was a good
There's not
time.
really- Not really a whole lot stood out. Like other than Elvis's performance.
Yeah, I feel like
I
the
thought it-
main selling point of this movie is that Elvis is the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a story that happens around him.
One thing interesting is that it does try to be rebellious while still keeping that like traditional American feel to it. So it felt like almost like trying to make like a more wholesome version of like Rebel Without a Cause or something like that.
I mean, that does star James Dean, and this was supposed to be a James Dean movie. Makes sense. Also, like, I can't say I was expecting to see Elvis get whacked in the back with a chair.
Yeah, I was impressed me because like that got shattered. I
I
was
Yeah.
like,
know. Like,
whoa!
dude,
I was like, that's fucking gnarly, dude.
dude, something about fight scenes in old movies, they just hit different. Like, since there aren't really many fancy effects or a lot of quick cuts, I feel like it has more weight to it. Like, when he gets hit with a chair, I'm like, whoa. Because that was like one shot.
What if they
Reminds me
actually
of, like,
had to
watching
beat
like
him with a chair back then?
it reminds me of
Think
like
about
Evil
it.
Dead. In the first Evil Dead movie, because it was like this no budget feature, they didn't like have they could not afford things. So Sam Raimi was literally just beating the shit out of his best friends. That was just a movie. Evil Dead is literally just Sam Raimi assaulting people. That's the whole movie.
I can also
It
say I
did have
was also not expecting some people to die.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The
yeah, it's not that like
stakes
surprisingly
got
dark. You know, there was a
raised
very
pretty high.
yeah, there was some. It was a surprisingly dark. It had a definitely like a very I don't know noir feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, we did have a couple fight scenes before. Some guy tried stabbing Elvis, but like they turned out fine in the end. And then you get to the ending with Maxie or whatever his name is. He just gets fucking shot.
And also, Shark gets stabbed.
That too.
We haven't talked much about the music, but I thought it was really good. It was catchy, just good old fashioned rock tunes. trying to think if there's like any in particular that was my favorite.
I find it weird. One of my favorite moments in this movie is it's not one of the moments where Elvis sings, but it's the banana song where that woman's in the banana dress
Oh
throwing
yeah,
bananas
yeah,
at the
yeah, yeah.
I'm like a weird flex, but okay. I dig it.
Listen, you gotta put a show on for some people, you know?
Yeah, makes sense why this seems to be everyone's favorite Elvis movie. Even Austin Butler said it was his favorite Elvis movie. So yeah, some good acting, solid enough plot. I'd just say it's just solid time. Give it like a 7 out of 10 or something.
Also, some pretty memorable lines of dialogue. Like I like in the beginning, when his sister is Elvis's sister's calling to him. Don't let Daddy catch you talking to that girl. Why not? I'm just being neighborly, and he picked the neighborhood.
Yeah, that was a fun line. Yeah.
Also, give this man an application. I don't have any more. Then give him the job.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that logic.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed myself with this one too. Again, there wasn't really a whole lot to analyze here, but I still had a good time. This is,
Yeah.
if anything, just to see like a time capsule of the 1950s, 60s esque
Yeah,
era.
you know, it's interesting. It's interesting to see just like a normal movie from the 1950s because I feel like every time people go back to the 50s and stuff, they're only seeing the classics. When this is just like an average film back then. So it's like, yeah, you know, it's neat to see what was just solid enough back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's interesting to see a more dramatic, darker side of Elvis.
So 8 out of 10, highly recommend.
Yeah, not bad.
8 out of 10. I thought
If you're
it
a
was
fan of
pretty good.
Elvis, give it a watch.
Yeah, good pick, Patrick.
Yeah, I was curious, so thanks, Grandma.
All right, is it my turn now?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the movies I was reminded of. Anything spring to you guys?
No, not really. I haven't
Nah.
seen many movies like this, to be fair.
Also, I forgot one
Um,
more movie I was reminded of was West Side Story.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
I can
obviously.
kind of see
Because
it.
when he
Yeah,
because
no,
I mean
definitely West Side Story. I should have
because
said
I mean
that.
there's a character named Shark and he's kind of in a gang and he has
Yeah,
a
no,
knife
no.
and
This definitely has a West Side Story feel
sharks
to
and
it.
jets. Chalk that up
Yeah.
to what else to check out. But yeah. okay.
Anyway, next we are going back to the world of animation, but this time it's going to be a little bit different. All right, so what I'm going to recommend is technically a mini series, but it's only 6 episodes long. It's about the length of a 2-hour movie in total, so it shouldn't be a big deal, right?
I don't think
I
so.
guess.
Yeah. Plus, you guys can like watch it in pieces now. You don't have to watch it all at once. But yeah, we're gonna be watching the anime FLCL or Fooly Cooly from the studio Gainax, who we actually talked about a little bit earlier because they made PSG Panty and Stocking. But yeah, Fooly Cooly. So yeah, it's got 6 episodes. Came out in 2000. There's a couple other like sequel series and stuff, but those are all bad. We're not talking about that. Just talking about the original 2000 series, 6 episodes, and yeah. 2 new seasons are actually coming out this year, but We're gonna pretend those don't exist.
I guess
Yeah.
we're stretching our boundaries now. All right.
This is one of my favorite anime ever, at least like from a pure visual standpoint. And I don't know. I feel like if I'm gonna talk about something, it's gonna be this. I would recommend the dub actually, not the sub. I know I'm not usually one to say this, but just trust me. Watch the dub. Okay.
All right.
I guess you can also watch Licorice Pizza if you want. I won't tell you why until the day of the episode, but yeah, that's optional though. You don't have to watch it. Yeah.
So we good?
I
We're
think we're
good.
good.
All right. So, want to see what I do for an encore? I don't know what to do for an encore.